Lightroom Classic is full of so many features that honestly it can be a little overwhelming. Let's talk about the 3 features I think every photographer should be using in their workflow. The first set of features is some of my favorite, and it's actually in the import setting. You may be thinking to yourself, well, I import every time. Like, that's one of the most easiest features in Lightroom. But let's talk about some of the other things you can do while you're importing that can make a huge difference in your Lightroom workflow. So when I go to import, I'll see the SD card that I have plugged into my computer, and all my photos will pop up. And we all know this. You can choose where you want to import your photos. Generally, I'm always copying my photos somewhere else. And this is where that first feature comes in inside of importing, which is copying to multiple locations. Now, the reason I love this feature is because having a backup very early on in your process is extremely important. Again, as a photographer, or especially as a wedding photographer like myself, I have paying clients that are depending on these photos, so I cannot lose them. So if you've never used this feature before, while you're in the import dialog, on the right, you'll see an option to make a second copy to. This essentially is letting you back up your photos to an additional space. So for instance, right now, I have this external hard drive called main photography, and that is where the main photos are going to go from this SD card. But I can also come here and make a second copy to a different space. This one is going to go on an external SSD called working BTS. By doing this, I know I have a copy immediately. So if one of my hard drives fails for whatever reason, I have it on another hard drive. I absolutely love this feature, and you should definitely be using it. But we're not even done talking about the import section yet, because another thing you could do to speed up your workflow is use the apply during import section. So with apply during import, you can essentially have a preset be applied to all your photos. So if you want to be able to edit your photos quickly and you have a preset that you already love, what you can do is instead of having to go into each of your photos and apply that preset each time, you can just go here, choose your preset, and then it will apply this preset to every single photo while you import. This way, when you start editing, you already have your base preset, and now, in my case, all you're doing is exposure and white balance. That will make things go a lot quicker. There's a lot less clicking and moving around when you're editing your photos. You're already like 20% into it. If you're not using these import features, you're definitely missing out because they can speed up your workflow so much. The second feature every photographer should be using are what I like to call AI actions. Now, AI actions essentially are presets that you could create yourself that will make your workflow so much faster. Basically, when I'm editing my photos, on the left here, I have my presets. I can quickly come in, choose a preset, and edit my photo from there. And this is the standard workflow that everyone's going to do. But with AI actions, there are also presets that you can create, but they're for specific things like saving the sky or masking the subject or even teeth whitening. So I have these set up here on the left as well as presets. And I can come in and choose something like skin smooth. And once that's already applied, you'll see here in my masks that I have a mask set for skin smoothing, and I have some settings already dialed in for that. Now, I do sell a pack of AI actions on my website. If you'd like to check them out, it's only $5, and you'll get all of the AI actions that you see here in my Lightroom. But because I am super transparent, if you don't want to buy it, let me show you how you can make these AI actions yourself. So when you're editing a photo and you're in the develop mode, you go ahead and make the changes that you would like to save as an AI action. Make only these changes, do not do anything else. So for example, if I want to add a mask and we're gonna use subject, which is finding the people here. So let's just say all people. All people, entire person. That's going to be the mask I want to create. And let's say for whatever reason, I want to just turn the exposure all the way down and turn them into shadows. So if this is what I want as an AI action, so I can just apply this to whatever, now that I've made this change on my photo, what we're going to do is head over to the left. We're going to click the plus by presets. We're going to create a preset. And then we're only going to select the things that are going to be saved for this preset. This case would be masking. I'm also going to leave on support slider amount. This way I can adjust how much of it I want when I apply it. And I'll call this shadow people. And I'll save that in my AI actions. So now I have a shadow people AI action. So I should be able to go to another photo now. Start developing this photo. Click on shadow people, and it should find them and turn them into shadows. This is how the AI actions are working. So again, if you don't want to create any for yourself, I have some on my website. I'll have that linked below. However, you could take the time to create a bunch of these for things that you do all the time. If you're not using features like this, like creating presets or creating your own AI actions based off of preset masking or denoising, you definitely need to do it. Again, Lightroom has so many features in it that people just don't use. The third feature that all photographers should be using are going to be collections, smart collections, and keywords. Now, this is something I'm using every time I edit a wedding, and it's mainly so that I can give myself peace of mind while I'm editing through 1,000 or 1,200 photos. Just large amount of photos sometimes can be overwhelming, so what I like to do is break them down into smaller groups, and I'm doing that through smart collections, and keywords. Now, I explain more about this and how to do the full process on my Lightroom course, which you all can check out in the description below. But let me give you a quick overview of what I'm doing. Basically, inside of Lightroom, instead of having to deal with the thousands of photos I have while editing, because like, look, if I go into my 5 stars, this is almost 1,200 photos, and it's just an overwhelming amount of photos. I don't know about you all, but I have a family, I have kids, I have things to do. And so I like to be able to break my editing into small bits and parts so that I can feel successful even though I may not have edited the whole thing. So to do that, I create myself a collection. You'll see here on the left, I have weddings as its own collection bin. And then under that, I have collections for each of my couples. Inside of the collection for the couple, I'll be able to get to the whole 1,200 photos, but I also have them broken into different parts of the wedding day. So like getting ready, cake cut, portraits, ceremony, so on and so forth. And so the mentality behind this is that if I come in here on the day and sit down to edit, let's say I only have 2 hours to edit, but I finished the cake cut section, I finished the details section, I finished the exit, I finished the reception. That's like 4 different sections that I finished in a day. And so now I can be like, great, I finished 4 sections rather than being like, oh, I only edited 200 photos out of the 1,200. So it's just a more mental thing for me. Now with smart collections, the way that you're setting this up is that under collections, you'll hit plus and you can create a different type of collection. You have collections, which are going to be manual, where you're selecting the photos and putting them in there. Or you have smart collections where you give the collection some if-then statements, and then from that, it's going to pull the photos automatically. So for example, I have a wedding that I just shot, and I have not set up my smart collections yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a collection set, and I'm going to name it after the couple. And so now I have this collection set, which is basically just a bin. And inside there, I can create a smart collection. This is where you start giving it its if-then statements. I'm going to call this portraits because I had a third photographer come to this wedding and take portraits of the guests. And then now I give it all the information that it needs to find these photos. So I know that all the rating is going to be 5-star. I can hit plus here to add another one. I know the source folder contains all, and then I'll name the folder where the photos are, and I'll give it another attribute. I know that it has the text, the label text, and this is where I was talking about keywords. The label text on it is portraits. And so I know I've already marked these photos with the word portrait. So what should happen is when I create this, it is going to automatically pull those photos in. Now, if you're curious how to add these keywords to your photos, just select the photo, and then in the metadata section over here on the right, you'll see label. Once you type this in, that's the label text, and then it'll pull in anything else. So for example, if I go into this wedding and I take literally any photo and type in portrait, so now you can see that photo automatically added here, and it's here in the portrait section. Also, again, if I take the label off, it will remove that photo. So these smart collections are a great way to group together photos that you want, or do this method that I'm talking about where you can separate your wedding day into different photos so that you're not so stressed editing the whole wedding at one time. Again, I talk about this in my Lightroom course. You should definitely check it out. These three features are under the radar. A lot of photographers don't use them, and I really think you should start trying to work them into your workflow. If this was helpful, share it with another photographer and leave some comments below of some features that you love in Lightroom as well, and I will catch you all next time.